And I tell you, I was genuinely dumbfounded by every single second that passed of that phone call. I'm not lying, okay? Alright, so picture this. It's a Tuesday. I'm having an amazing day. I had an exam earlier this morning. I hung out with a friend. It was an amazing hangout session. So many fun conversations and activities that we did. Then I had an 8-hour nap. Don't ask questions, but it was just an amazing day, alright? And then around 10:30 p.m., 10:30 p.m., I receive a phone call. First thing I notice is that it's an unknown number, which has never even happened to me before. I've never gotten a call from an unknown number. So now I'm genuinely wondering, like, who could this be? Is it somebody calling me from another phone and for some reason they don't want me to know their number? It's like you have to put a lot of effort into calling someone as an unknown number. You have to like look up the digits for it. There's like a code for it. Who could this be? So finally I answer the phone and the first thing I hear is this. Hey, it's Anne from your college. Which Anne? Anne from your college. Why are you so dumbfounded, Tristan? It's Anne. I go with you to college. The college that we both go together to. And now at this point, I'm wondering, like, what the hell is going on? So first of all, there's no Anne at my college. My college has a very small, like, group of people going to the major that I'm going to. Like, there's literally 12 of us. And there's a few people that don't, like, really show up to any classes or anything. But, like, I know all of them. I know nearly all of their names. And there's never been any Anne. So now I'm like, what's going on? And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, maybe there's some like Anne that hasn't showed up to practice, that hasn't like even taken any exams, just some hidden Anne. We've already had some other woman attending our college that basically we didn't know about for the entire semester, and then she hit me up for some reason. She hit me up on WhatsApp, like on messages, to ask me about what we were doing at college, and that was kind of weird, but like it made sense. I knew about this woman, I just hadn't seen her before or heard from her before. And this was so much weirder because I knew that there was no Anne. And so now I'm kind of freaking out. I'm like getting anxious a little bit, but I'm also like gaslighting myself into thinking maybe there was some Anne at some point. And so I continue the conversation. I basically just ask her, like, what's going on? Like, what is the question that you want to ask me? I conceded, like, okay, you're Anne from my college. What do you want from me now? And then she says to me, she says, I saw you around campus. I thought you were a really cute guy. And I just kind of wanted to ask you, like, what exams have you taken so far? There were some exams that I was struggling with that I wanted to ask you about. If you could, like, help me a little bit. No, I'm like, what cute guy? You saw me on campus? And this is crazy because at this point, I was thinking like, okay, maybe she's never been to campus, but she still attends the college for some reason. But now you're telling me you saw me on campus? What's going on? I'm like freaking out at this point. My heart is racing. And so I give like kind of an awkward answer. I kind of just go, I'm very busy right now. I don't have time to help you with exams. And she kind of pauses and goes like, okay, so what's the problem with that? What's the problem with that? Bitch, I don't want to help you. This is supposed to be the main reason why you called me, and I'm telling you no. Like, what do you mean, what's the problem with that? But, I don't say anything to her. I just basically respond, like, yeah, I'm kind of busy right now, but, like, maybe I could find you someone who could help you. Maybe one of the professors that I know, that I have a lot of connections with at this college. Maybe some of them could help you. So, which exams are you having trouble with? That's what I said to her. And at this point, I'm like kind of chilled out. I'm like, for some reason, just accepting the situation. I'm gaslighting myself completely into thinking that this woman was real, that her story was real. But then she says something that completely threw me off and was the weirdest thing that I had heard this entire time. Oh, I'm just having trouble. This college that we attend, "Hey, which college do you attend again?" And then I say the name of the college. Then she says, then she continues basically, at this college, there's that one professor that everybody hates, and like he just gives me so much trouble. Can you help me? And as she's saying all this, I'm just so weirded out and shocked in what she's saying. But then I'm also like Loki having like a PTSD flashback from all of the weirdness that has transpired before to this point. And honestly, I just hung up on her at some point. I don't even know what the last thing she said, but it was the middle of her sentence. I pressed the button to hang up, and that was it. So now let's go ahead and recount all of the weirdest information about this phone call. First, you're calling me at 10:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. Then it's the fact that it's an unknown phone number. And by the way, I forgot to mention this, but at some point in the phone call, I had mentioned to her that it was an unknown phone number. I think at the beginning, she was like, "Why are you so dumbfounded?" And I was like, "Because it's an unknown phone number." And then she said like, "Oh, what? I didn't know it was unknown. That doesn't make sense. I don't know. It's not unknown." It very much was unknown, and it takes a lot of effort to make it unknown, so that was a lie. And then we have the actual phone call, which right off the bat you're just gaslighting me into thinking that you're someone that doesn't exist. Then you know my name somehow. Like, first it's weird that you know my phone number. I don't really give out my phone number like that. You call it from an unknown number, and then you know my name. This is so weird. You're lying to me about going to my college because no such person fits the description. Then you have me concede on all of it. You have me just go with it just so I don't embarrass myself in case it is real. Hindsight, it was a good move on my end. But then when I press you on it, when I, let you continue the conversation, you call me cute, which I don't know what that's all about. You apparently saw me on campus, even though you don't exist. Now I'm like weirded out because who saw me on campus and thought I was cute? Like, there's not a lot of people on this campus. At this point, I'm starting to think that this is where like my second most likely theory for what this is all about developed, which is that you're some like obsessed girl that saw me in some sort of like article about like competitions that I went to. You saw me in an article, you liked me from the picture, you somehow found my phone number, and now you're lying to me to get with me or something. It doesn't make sense because you should have just told me the truth about who you were and I would have went with it, but whatever. Clearly this is some sort of manipulation. Then you throw the burden of like trying to get me to help you or get someone to help you with exams. So thank you for that. And then the worst part of it all, when I press you further, you ask me which college I go to, which is apparently the college that you go to. The major that you go to is the same as mine. And then you ask me about it, and this was stupid on my end, but I shouldn't have given the information of the college I went to. I should have just seen that it was BS right then and there. Thankfully, I did see right after though. You start making up like further fake BS about how there's a professor that everybody hates at this college, at this major. There is not. So, what is this web of lies? That was it. So, some of you might be thinking, uh, that's, not that weird of a phone call. But you have to understand that this happened at like a very weird time, at the end of like a very good day. Think of like the best day you've had this year. Imagine at the end of that day when you're like tired and like left with a lot of impressions from the day, you get hit with something like this, a phone call like this. Like I was very hypersensitive, hyper like emotionally sensitive to everything because of the day I just had. And then you hit me with some BS like this. It's the fact that it's confusing. You don't know what's coming at you when you're on the phone call. And then it's the fact that like she abused my trust. There was a part of me that felt like it was real at the beginning, simply because there were so many situations in my life. Like I'm kind of insecure about this. There were so many situations in my life where I felt Like I was oblivious to something that I shouldn't be. So I was like, maybe this is another one of those, and maybe I should know who this person is. So like I'm just gonna go with it. But it's like it was obviously fake, so you just abused my trust, you abused my insecurity. It just all added up into the situation where like after the phone call was done, I felt so strange. I don't know what to do about it. I felt this like big anxiety, like something just insane had been done upon me by this phone call. The whole time I felt like I was talking to like a skinwalker, like something that's not human, because everything that she was saying like made sense, like as in terms of grammar, English wise, but it also didn't make any logical sense. Like it was like uncanny valley, it was off by a little bit. I just felt so freaked out about it. So yeah, I hung up the phone. She then called me again right after, and I didn't answer because I thought that was the best answer. I thought, if somehow this is real in some way, she'll call me again at some point, or I'll figure out what to do about it at some point. It's not gonna be too bad. I'll apologize if this is like me being rude in some weird scenario where this is like a normal situation. Yeah, I just hung up and then answered the second phone call. I felt really freaked out about it, so I started calling like my friends that I had spent the previous part of my day with. Called one friend, he sounded confused. He didn't know like even what it could be. He had some theories, but like nothing really. Called another friend, my best friend, and he managed to comfort me a little bit. Like he was like joking about it, but he was also like kind of confused about what I was even talking about. And like these were friends from my college, so I had to make sure that this person didn't really exist in any way, shape, or form on this college. And after the phone calls, I was like tripping, like I was so confused. Now let's get into the fun parts, which is the theories about what this could even be about. I have a bunch of theories, but like I'll divide it into maybe like three main ones. Number one theory, 95% chance that it's real. And this is something that everybody that I've talked to has theorized theorized that it could be. It was a scam. She was trying to manipulate me the whole time. That's why she was gaslighting me. She was telling me I was being weird for being dumbfounded, to just manipulate me into thinking that, I'm in the wrong, that I'm oblivious to everything, and that I should just go along with it so she could extract some sort of information out of me. And that's also why she told me I was cute, to like soften me up so she could feed me whatever BS she wanted to feed me. Now, the crazy part is, if this phone call had gone on for a very long time, like if I didn't have the courage to hang up, which I generally do, if I didn't have that, God knows what she could have extracted out of me. Because it's like when you're in this, you want to believe it's real. You don't want to believe that something weird is going on. You kind of just go along with it. And that's what I would have done had the conversation continued. So, in that sense, it would have been a successful scam. But here's the thing, there's like some problems with this theory. And even after I felt freaked out after the phone call, I was sort of doubtful of this theory, even though now I can tell it's probably like the one that's real. I still kind of felt like it was off or it was something else. The thing is, if she wanted to extract information out of me, if she wanted to scam me, why do it in this like super roundabout way? Because the thing is, this conversation was 4 or 5 minutes, and nothing special was extracted out of me except for the name of my college. Plus, another part of it is like this is such a bad scam. Like, what world would anybody believe this? Nothing about this makes sense. Like, how could anybody get anything out of this? Like, she didn't even know the name of the college that I went to. She fumbled 2 minutes in. You can't do that. The first 2 minutes, I'll be honest, fantastic manipulation and gaslighting for a scam. But the rest of it, fumbling, and also never really got to the point. I guess I just hung up on her before she could get to the point, but like never really got to the point of what she wanted to get out of me. It's like kind of a genius, detailed scam, but never would have really worked. So that makes me think that maybe it isn't a scam. But yeah, if we're thinking about this rationally, It probably is. She probably just got my phone from some sort of like pamphlet or article, saw maybe like my picture or some information about my name, which college I went to, even though she didn't know that, and just try to scam me out of something, and did it in like a really roundabout way. The manipulation and the gaslighting all adds up to that. It all makes sense with this theory. And it's like, it makes sense because if she did it to several other people, it makes sense why she was so good at it. It makes sense why she was so convincing about all this fake information that she was feeding me. My second theory, though, would be that it's just a prank call. I've heard some pretty crazy prank calls. Like, I've heard someone try to convince someone that they're pregnant with their baby, and like the person ends up being convinced at the end of the prank call. So, it might be, but it's a very strange prank call. She sounded way too convincing for this. When she was fumbling at the end of the conversation, she sounded genuinely like worried, like she was failing, which again points back to the first theory. So maybe not a prank call, or just a fantastic, incredible prank call. And then the third theory, which kind of focuses on the middle part of the conversation where she called me cute. Maybe this is just some like obsessed person that sees a love interest within me, and basically just saw me again on some pamphlet, liked the way I look, and just called me to try it out. Like I mentioned this theory previous in this video, and again, it doesn't make sense because if she just like called me randomly and was truthful about it, I wouldn't went with it. I literally like it would have been 100% more successful. But this would explain why she was like sounded so seductive during the entire conversation. She was really like sly about it. I don't know how to explain it. Sexy sly about it. Oh yeah, but one thing I forgot to mention about like the scam theory was that the reason why it's most likely again is because this scam would have worked with other colleges. And what I mean by this is my college, specifically the major that I'm attending, has like a very small class, very small amount of students attending. So I know everybody in this class, but in other colleges, it's like sometimes 300 people. So in that case, if I had went to one of those colleges, and she didn't know which one I went to, so this is why she thought this. If I had went to one of those, I would have been like, okay, she's one of the hundreds of people that are in this class. I don't know her, but like that makes sense. She thought I was cute from seeing me in the class. She's sliding in, whatever. But unfortunately, like the scam, I guess maybe in that case, it didn't work out for her because she started fumbling as soon as I started asking any deeper questions. And then also like the unknown number scandal part, whatever you want to call it, the fact that she was gaslighting me instantly, that I need to know who she is, even though if I was in a large class, it will maybe make sense that I don't know who she is. The thing that trips me up still about the third theory, which is like the obsessive fangirl theory, is that I know a girl, like in real life, who sounds very similar to this girl. That this is not her, but she sounds similar to her, and she has like some mental problems, and she was also obsessed with me at one point. So like I sort of like heard her voice in the call, even though I'm sure based off some certain details that it's not her. I heard like similarities with her in the phone call. So like there's a chance that the third theory is correct because of that, because of how similar it is to that girl. Which honestly, like I hate that theory because it leaves me feeling the way I felt after I ended the phone call, which is like, what if this is all real and I'm just like being a dick about it? What if I just don't get it for some reason? And that's the third theory would kind of make sense with that. I like really wouldn't be getting it in that sense, in that case. And nonetheless, I'm kind of worried for this girl because if she's a part of a scam which is this elaborate and detailed, that's kind of crazy. I don't know, like, what the conditions of this scam office are. and what made her get into this situation. If she's obsessed with me, unlucky for her, she failed. And the thing about it is, like, when I think about it, and this is something that I really thought about, like, after I ended it and after I felt really distressed about it, about the whole situation, like, I don't know what the worst case scenario for what this could be about is, because none of these theories fit 100% like with the situation. Even the scam theory doesn't fully make sense because it's kind of not the best scam, but kind of didn't really go that far. And I don't even know what the scam is about. So, there's problems with all of these theories. So it's like, what's the worst scenario? My anxiety tells me to question what's the worst scenario and not the best scenario. And I just can't bring myself to not think about the fact that I don't know what this is really about. I hung up and I'm really proud of the decision, but like, what could that have led me to? I really, during the entire phone call, I really felt like a sense of danger, like danger, danger, danger the entire time, which is why I'm glad and why I don't regret at all hanging up. But when you feel a sense like this, when someone like abuses your trust in this sense, in the way that it was during this phone call, you kind of want to know what it's about. You don't want to just move on from this. You want to learn from it to protect yourself in the future. That's how you feel in the moment and even afterwards. So, kind of unfortunate. But yeah, weirdest phone call I ever received. Be careful out there, y'all. Scams are getting good. Weird phone calls are getting weirder. Stay safe.